Today's topic of the video will be very interesting. That's because the topic of this video, as many others on this industry, happens to be a controversial one. And it's something that usually people are very curious to really have a definitive answer. So what am I talking about? I am talking about saturated fats. Yes, so do you want to know if they are good? Are they good, bad? Can you eat them? How much should you worry about it? From a chemical standpoint of view, saturated fat is a type of fats in which you can find fatty acids that have single bonds. Whoa, what do you mean with that, Thiago? Like many other definitions and things, you don't need to really know that. What you need to know is that we have saturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, and monosaturated fats. Some of them have a more complex structure than the others, and that's pretty much what you need to know. In the case of the saturated fats, usually they are seen as devil or worse for health. But are they really worse than other fats, or are they bad as they make it? That's what I want to answer in this video. Looking at reviews and meta-analysis of controlled trials, there does not seem to be much evidence showing that saturated fats can cause you heart diseases. This, of course, if you don't have any genetic predisposition to really being affected for those kind of fats. One thing that we know about saturated fats is that they increase the cholesterol in our body. But as I mentioned in a video that I did 2 weeks ago, is really cholesterol that important in our diet? Should we also really care about it? Once again, I will leave you curious. If you don't know the answer for that, I highly recommend you to go to check the video here. If you are watching me on a mobile device, I will leave you the link for that video in the description below. So as I was saying, saturated fat increases the levels of cholesterol in our body. But just because the levels of cholesterol in our body go up, that doesn't make it inherently bad. First of all, we know that cholesterol is important for our body. Without it, we cannot live it. Now, of course, having too much of it is bad. But we also have what is called the HDL, also known for the good cholesterol, and the LDL, that is known for the bad cholesterol. Now, when we consume saturated fats, what happens is that not only the bad cholesterol goes up, but also the good one. And I don't see this very often being mentioned on mainstream. They always talk about only the bad thing. But what about the HDL? Because if the bad one goes up and the good one that is responsible for the decrease on heart disease problem, so we are kind of having a neutral effect here. But we don't stop here. I have something more to share with you. Did you know that inside of the category of LDL there are two types of it? One is known as small dense LDL and the other one is known as the large dense LDL. Pay attention to this. Small dense LDL is known to be responsible for the increase of heart problems. Large dense LDL on the other side has completely the opposite effect, or again at least is neutral. So let's stop here, because I have a question for you. In your opinion, which one do you think saturated fat has the most? You guessed it. It is not the bad one. It has been shown that consuming saturated fats helps to convert the small LDL to large LDL. This means that in the long term, consuming saturated fat can in fact help you decrease heart disease problems. Now, where do you see people mention this? Stop for a second and think in what I said in this video so far. Saturated fats increase good cholesterol. It also increases the bad cholesterol, but that bad cholesterol is divided in two categories, the bad one and the good one. And the good one is responsible to protect us against heart diseases. And guess what? Saturated fat has the good one. So with all this I'm saying is that probably consuming certain types of products will actually increase your health and not decrease it. The reason why this is not shared, I don't know. What I know is that food, pharmaceutical and supplement industries moves billions and billions of dollars. And generating controversy is very good for sales. This is because people, they don't like controversy. People don't know which decisions to make when there are people saying this is good, this is bad. So at the end they just eat whatever they want. And that leaves everyone happy because they make sales in every kind of products that they just create. Putting all that aside, where can you find products that are rich in saturated fat? Probably the best version of saturated fat that you can consume is coconut oil. Coconut oil is a great source for you to cook your food. And I will also leave a link on a video description below with 4 types of fat sources that I usually recommend and why. Coconut oil is one of them. So where do you find good sources of saturated fat? Coconut oil is one of them, egg yolks is another one, red meat, it's another one. But you can also find it, for example, in dairy products, either light or not, doesn't matter, you find them in both. And ice cream counts for that as well. And finally, you can find it in chocolate, butter, some nuts like cashews or peanuts, but you can also find it in the fats from red meat. I know that there are some people also who consume more saturated fats because they know that's good for testosterone production. What usually happens is that they hear that consuming saturated fats will increase their testosterone levels, and so they eat more of it. A note on that, the studies that are out there showing that eating more saturated fat increases testosterone levels, they were done comparing a low-fat diet with a high-fat diet. And we know that consuming low-fat diets in men makes us to produce less testosterone. So what in fact makes this increase on testosterone is not exactly the saturated fat, but it's just because they increased the amount of fat that they have in their diet. So what I'm here trying to say is that if you have a diet where you consume at least a minimum fat that is healthy for you, you will have your testosterone levels normal or high just because you have a high fat diet. I'm running out of battery and I really have to make these 2 points. One of them is that just because saturated fat can actually be beneficial, that doesn't mean that you should just go eat a lot of saturated fat. That's a big mistake. You should focus in eating a lot of different types of fat. Monosaturated, polyunsaturated, and a little bit of saturated fats. One of the fatty acids that I highly recommend for you to get is omega-3. It has been proven to be extremely healthy for us, and most of us have a deficiency on it. And honestly, when it comes to saturated fat, I think we are eating enough and we really don't have to worry about starting to eat it more. The point of the video is that you should actually not worry about not eating because it's bad, because most likely it isn't. Which leads me to the point that if you are healthy, active, fit, you really don't have to worry about these questions that people usually put a lot of importance on. Have a variety diet, eat what you like, be active, keep fit, and most likely you won't have any heart problems and things like that. Always focus on a big picture and not only on a small little detail. Alright guys, that's all that I have to say for this video. I hope it was informative. If it was helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, just leave it below. See you on the next video. Take care.